So, good afternoon, everyone. Let's begin with the fourth class of history questions discussion. And this class is dedicated towards modern India. So here we are going to discuss 50 questions. Tomorrow we are going to discuss other 50 questions which are lined up for you. Now this is test number 1, so modern India 1. Tomorrow we are going to discuss about modern India 2, right? I think the tomorrow's class is going to be between 1 to 3. Okay, so starting with this. So before jumping to the first question itself, I would like to make a basic differences that what we are expecting in this case. Now, modern India, see, for prelims, there is no syllabus, obviously, right? The prelim syllabus says that history of India and Indian national movement. So, I mean, those 7 words are very vague, very limited. In the strategy classes, I already discussed that it doesn't give you any kind of guidelines on how to prepare for that, for the how to prepare the content for that. So modern India, you can learn about modern India. What are the basic questions that are going to be asked only from the PYQs, right? So here, the guiding force for you, guiding force is PYQs, right? So from PYQs, you will understand that how far UPSC is asking the questions. What is the previous date and what is the end date? So it starts from, right, arrival of arrival of Europeans. Now, arrival of Europeans is also considered to be the part of medieval India. But as they have survived till modern India, so most of their questions are being asked from the modern Indian section. The end, obviously, from modern India lies within the India's independence. That's why you will find that most of the books that you read, I mean, I hope many of you are going through the book known as Spectrum, right? So in that particular book written by Rajiv Ahir, you'll find that the book actually starts from the arrival of the European, right? And that's how the things are, the arrival of Portuguese, French, and English, and many others. And the books actually ends at the India's independence. However, in the recent editions, they have also added the post-independence history, which I believe is useless. All right. So this is what we are concerned about. So that's why here we are going to discuss about the questions which are from the European dimensions as well as the Indian dimension. So let's start with that. So the question number 1 is with reference to Muhammad Shah, right? Muhammad Shah is one of the longest ruling Mughal in the first half of 18th century. Why I'm saying that? Because we had many other rulers. Bahadur Shah first was there, Farooq Shiar was there, Alamgir II was there, right? But Bahadur Shah had a very long duration. And these are the 2 questions which are asked with respect to his tenure. The administration in northern India deteriorated during his reign, right? That is during his period. Absolutely correct. I'll tell you one thing. He was known as Rangila. First of all, he became the Mughal emperor at the age of, I think, 17 or 18 something. So he was very young. He didn't had any experience. And he became a ruler because of Sayyid brothers, right? Sayyid brothers who were actually the kingmakers. Now, Sayyid brothers helped this person to become the king. As a result, he became a puppet ruler. When he was a puppet ruler, he was mostly involved in the, non-political activities, right? Watching dance throughout the day, roaming around, going for hunting rather than focusing upon the administration. So the overall Mughal administration deteriorated, and the advantage for this was taken by Marathas, right? So Maratha took the advantage. Maratha took advantage and invaded Delhi. Yes. At this point of time, Maratha actually attacked Delhi. And when this news of Maratha attacking Delhi reached across Indian subcontinent, Nadir Shah, right, invaded India. That's how the things are, right? 1739. So both the statements are correct. So please remember, Muhammad Shah was a very weak ruler. Hence, there were numerous attack by Maratha, attack by Nadir Shah, right? So both the statements are correct. Moving to the next one. With reference to the Sayyid brothers, consider the following statement. They adopted the policy of religious tolerance. Yes. We always read about that the so-called Sayyid brothers, right? They had, I mean, they were the kingmakers. They blinded, they poisoned the kings and their family members. Yes, that's true. Some of the books says that these brothers did so because they never wanted a strong ruler to be there on the power, because they wanted to keep the power within themselves, and they were the nobles. They were the nobles in the court of Mughal. They never took power, and they never allow a stronger ruler to be there. As a result, we have always seen that they were focusing upon a weak ruler. So that might be a wrong that might be a wrong perception about these people, but as a cultural aspect, they were very, very religious tolerant. They always helped the religions from the other community as well. They introduced, right? Sorry, they abolished. They abolished. As I said, that they were religiously tolerant. I mean, because see, if the first statement is correct, how can second be wrong? Sorry, how can second be also correct? If Because they are contradictory. If they are religiously tolerant, so use a common sense in this question. Both the statements are contrary to each other. If a person is religious tolerant, why will he introduce pilgrimage texts? Right? So even in that case, if let's say you are sitting in the examination and such kind of question appears, then you can easily understand that one of A or B is correct. At least you are at 50% sure. Then you have to take a chance. When I told you in the strategy class as well that when you have a 50% of accuracy, you can take a chance. That's how the things are. All right. So the option A is correct. Moving to the next one. Jai Singh. Now Jai Singh belongs to the kingdom of Amir, which is presently Jaipur in Rajasthan. All right. And he belongs to the same family that the Navratan that Man Singh belonged. Now it is said that he built observatory, which are known as Jantar Mantar. Now all of you know that Jantar Mantar is there in Delhi also, right? Jantar Mantar is there in Jaipur also. The Jaipur Jantar Mantar is UNESCO heritage. So this brings us to a conclusion that both the places are not mentioned on the question in the question. So considering this, let's assume that these places are there or not there as an observatory. The answer is yes, all of them are there. Actually, he built 5 observatory. Please remember that. He himself was a very, you can say learned. Learned means very well-read he had a degrees in astrology, not astronomy. Astrology. He was a great mathematician himself. He wrote and translated many mathematics books. He was very good at algebra also. So because as a matter of interest, he built these observatories, which were able to provide the accurate time of the day, accurate month of the year, and even the lunar eclipse, solar eclipse, and many other, you can say, astronomical activities. So all the statements are correct. All the pointers are correct. Okay, the next question is also on that. Savai Jai Singh or Savai Jai Singh is the same one. He translated Elucid's Elementary of Geometry in Sanskrit. Yes, absolutely correct. Without a doubt, right? He did that. As I told you, he was a very learned person. He was a very intellectual person, and mathematics was his interest. He compiled the set of tables called Jiz Muhammad Shahi, right, to facilitate the astronomical observation, and this was used in Jantar Mantar as well. It's like a compilation of mathematical work to identify the exact situations or the exact positioning of the planets and the other astronomical, you can say, units, right? Both the statements are correct. Answer of this question is option C. Now, as a point of fact, I would say that such kind of tough questions are very rare from the UPSC. I mean, it's impossible for you to read and talk about each and every ruler of the local empire. It's almost next to impossible. How many local empires are you going to read about? So in these kind of case, I would recommend not to take a risk. obviously, right, without a doubt, कि भाई avoid risk as much as possible. Moving to the next one. With respect to Balaji Vishwanath, consider the following statement. Now, Balaji Vishwanath is a Peshwa, right? Sorry, Maratha, right? Maratha ruler. Now, Balaji Vishwanath was appointed as Peshwa during the reign of Rajaram. No, it was Sahuji, right? Sahu, who was the successor of Shivaji. So this first statement is incorrect. He helped Sayyid brothers in overthrowing the Mughal emperor Farrukh Shiar. Farrukh Shiar was the ruler who came before Muhammad Shah. All right, so please keep these things noted. Farrukh Shiar was the one who was before Muhammad Shah came to the power. And all of you know Farrukh Shiar is known for the issuing of Farman to the company. And that is East India Company, about free trade that a company can conduct in against a lump sum amount. So he helped Sayyid brothers in overthrowing the Mughal emperor, and after that Muhammad Shah came into the power, who was a very weak rulers. And as a result, right, Marathas, as a result, Maratha got Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi. Yes, they got Chauth and Sardesh Mukhi from Mughals. So statement number 2 is correct. Moving to the next one. With reference to the third battle of Panipat, 1761, which of the following statements are correct? Right? The battle was fought between Maratha Empire and the Durrani Empire. Now, this is absolutely correct because Durrani Empire was represented by Ahmad Shah Abdali. Right? The Peshwa of the Maratha, right, empire at the time was Balaji Bajirao. Absolutely correct. Right? Both the statements are correct. Option is C. Next one. Now we are with the independent empires. With reference to the Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf Jahan, right? That is Hyderabad, obviously. Consider the following statements. He founded the state of Hyderabad. See, there are two Hyderabad. Yeah, 2 days back, I received a message from a student asking about, sir, was Hyderabad also extended to Sindh region? Sindh, that is Pakistan, also had a Hyderabad city. And that was the capital of Sindh. But when we talk about this Hyderabad, this was a state. Hyderabad state, Hyderabad city. Over there, it was Sindh state and Hyderabad capital. So that's a basic difference. So if I mean, all these words are given in that Lakshmikant, sorry, pardon me, the spectrum book. And in that spectrum book, you will find that key, what kind of statements this place is actually about. So with reference to Nizam-ul-Mulk Asaf, consider the following statement. He founded the state of Hyderabad. Absolutely correct. He followed the tolerant policy towards Hindu. Absolutely, because Hindu was the majority population in Hyderabad. So there is no doubt in that. He openly declared his independence from the Mughal Empire. No. Not openly, not independent. Right? They were partially associated to Mughals. Right? That is on some matters like appointment or something, they were taking orders from the Mughal as well as they were giving certain kind of benefits, titles, and share in the revenue to the Mughals. So there was no complete independence as that regard. So only the two of them are correct. Moving to the next one. French East India Company. Consider the following statement. French East India Company was founded in 1764. No. Not that late. 1764 was the year we all know that it was Battle of Buxar. Battle of Buxar was fought, right? So that it's not absolutely correct. I mean, the same year the battle was fought and the same year French East India Company was created. No, this statement is wrong. French East India Company was created in 1664, 100 years before the Battle of Buxar. The company was heavily dependent on the French government, right? The statement is correct because it was the rule of Louis, right? the French ruler Louis, who used to give guidance and also took all the cases possible with respect to the functioning of the company. On the other hand, the company of East India Company, actually the British East India Company, was completely a shareholders company, and there was no direct interference of the British government before 1773 Regulating Act. Otherwise, after that, we have seen that yes, the company was regulated by the British Parliament and the Crown. Company did not have any factories on the eastern coast. I mean, this is absolutely incorrect, right? Eastern coast, how is it possible? You must have heard about Karaikal, Pondicherry, Chandenagore. So all these kind of cities were there. How can we say that there was nothing on the eastern coast and they were only dedicated towards the western coast? So this statement is correct. Only one of them is correct one, right? It's a bit easy question, not that tough, right? Moving to the next one, the question number 9. In factory, in India, a factory of English East India Company was generally a fortified area with which warehouse or the offices were situated. Yes, I have many examples. Example, right? Fort Saint George, right? Fort William. So you will understand that they are naming their factory to be a fort. So that's why their factories were actually fortified. They had soldiers within the factory. They have armory within the factory. They have offices, warehousing, everything within the factory. And if you're thinking that they were the first to do that, you're wrong. It was the Portuguese who started. Portuguese were the one who actually started these kind of practices. So this statement is correct. Then there was no manufacturing was carried out in this factory. Yes, this is absolutely correct. Britishers, why would Britishers manufacture anything in India? Forget Britishers. Why would any of the European manufacture anything in India? They were not here to manufacture anything. They were here for raw material. So that's why no manufacturing. Now, when you see no, it feels like it's an extreme sentence, right? No manufacturing, it's an extreme sentence. In most of the cases, it might be wrong. But that's not the case, right? This statement is correct because they were here for the raw material, not for manufacturing. Both the statements are correct. Moving to the next one. Sir Thomas Roe, right, succeeded in getting the Farman. Sir Thomas Roe was successful in getting the Farman, Imperial Farman, to trade and establish factory in all parts of the Mughal Empire. Chalo theek hai, bilkul sahi hai. The Dutch gave the island of Bombay to King Charles II of England as dowry for marrying a Dutch princess. No, it was Portuguese. ये तो हम सबको पता है. It's a very known fact that it was a marriage alliance between the British and the Portuguese. Right? Because that was the island, 7 islands of Bombay, which were combined together later on to create a city of Bombay, right? They were combined. So this statement is correct. I mean, ये तो बहुत easy है, right? These two statements are very easy. If you have studied the first 2 chapters of Spectrum book, you can easily do these questions. Next, subsidiary alliance, very important annexation policy of the British. With reference to the subsidiary alliance, consider the following statement. Under this system, the ruler of the allying Indian state was compelled to accept the permanent stationing of the Indian army, the British forces. Yes, permanent stationing hogi. In fact, there will be an Indian commander. If there is no Indian commander, there will be a British commander. The amount of money paid to the soldiers would come from the local empires only. Britishers are not going to pay any amount to them. And what is the duty of these British forces? These British forces are going to actually provide a defensive approach, the defensive help to the native states. Statement is correct. It provided that the ruler of the allying Indian would not negotiate with any other Indian ruler without consulting the Governor General. Absolutely correct. So if there is a subsidiary alliance, let's say in Hyderabad. So Hyderabad and Mysore, right? So their linkages will always have British Governor General in between. Otherwise, they cannot have any kind of negotiation on any matter. No negotiation possible. So between them, it is the Britishers, right? They will act as a mediator. Next one. Consider the following statement with reference to economic policy in India of the Britishers. Very important. Please go through all the economic policy from 1600 to 1757, right? Britishers or the East India Company's role in India was that of the training corporation. Obviously, we all know that. Why? Because in 1757, East India Company took over administration. After defeating Bengal. Then, so this statement is correct. During the period of the same, the exports of Indian manufacturing decreased. No. At this point of time, right, Indian manufacturing exports increased as more markets were available abroad. See, what's the case? Before the Battle of Plassey, there was no industrial revolution which was going on in Britain, right? Even in Britain also, if you read the Britain or the world history, you'll find that in the middle of the 18th century, there was no industrial revolution as such. So the industrial revolution in Britain did not started. So they were mostly trading the finished goods, right? Finished goods, not the raw material. And in finished good, I would say it was more like spices, right? Cotton sheets rather than raw cotton. Because see, they will not import raw material because they don't have industries. But in the second half of the 18th century, when the industrial revolution came up in Britain, they started importing the raw material. So things changed overnight. Option number A. Moving to the next one. Consider the following statement with reference to the colonial rule in India. After the Battle of Plassey, the monopoly of East India Company over the Indian trade fell. After the Battle of Plassey, the monopoly of the East India Company over the Indian trade fell. Yes. Right? See, no, it was after, sorry for that. It was after 1813 when the monopoly fell, not after the Battle of Plassey. The East India Company acquired the Diwani of Bengal in 1757. No, it was after, right? It was after Buxar, not Plassey. Dual government, right? After Buxar, under dual government. The Indian Railway were constructed and operated by Government of India. No, it was private enterprises, right? Okay, so later on it was operated by Government of India. Construction always by private, right? How many of them are incorrect? All of them are incorrect. Next one. Which of the following statements with reference to the judicial organization during the colonial rule in India is correct? So which of the following statement with reference to the judicial organization are correct? Now this statement, this question is a bit tricky and it's a very tough one also. So they're asking which of them is correct. I'll give you the correct answer. Correct answer is option B, but we'll go through the others one as well. The system was started. System means what? The system of judicial organization. That is, there should be a court, there should be a magistrate, there should be a law and order, right? All those kind of things should be there. So the system was started and established by Warren Hastings. This is absolutely correct. It was Cornwallis. Cornwallis was the one who started a regular system of the judicial pronouncement. Lord Cornwallis separated the post of civil judge and the collectors because he believed that if one person will have both the powers, it will lead to corruption. So that's why the case is correct. He actually separated both. William Bentinck established the Provincial Court of Appeal, right? No, he abolished them. Provincial Court of Appeal and circuits were actually by Cornwallis. So this statement is also incorrect. William Bentinck reduced its status and the powers, right, of Indians in the judicial services and appointed them as a lower court officials. ऐसा नहीं है, इसका reverse है. He allowed Indians. Please remember, judiciary is, or the higher judiciary is the first area where Indians got positions. I'm repeating it again. Judiciary was the first area of government or the British government where Indians can reach the higher position. They can even become a judge. So, which one of them is correct? Option B. It's a tough question, right? Even if you get the wrong answer in this one, it's okay. It's a very tough question, right? That much of details about judicial administration is very tough to understand. Consider the following statement. First, William Bentinck outlawed the practice of sati. I mean, it's universal. If you are getting this kind of questions incorrect, it's the biggest mistake, right? So avoid that. This is absolutely correct. On the behest of Raja Ram Mohan Roy, we all know that he actually said ki haan, let's end the practice of sati under the regulation 17. The efforts of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar led to the passage of 1856 Act, which was the Widow Remarriage Act. We all know that. It's all also correct. It was proposed by the Lord Dalhousie. It was passed by Lord Canning. Both the statements are correct. I mean, these are the very simple questions, and you should not actually make this as the incorrect one. Under the doctrine of lapse, you don't need to read the entire passage. All of you know doctrine of lapse means Dalhousie. Without a doubt. Even if you read the entire answer, you will know, right? See, the passage, this paragraph actually talks about how, what was the functioning of doctrine of lapse, or how the doctrine of lapse actually functions. Moving to the next one. Consider the following statement. The trade monopoly of the company in India was ended by Charter Act 1813. Absolutely correct. In one of the questions we have discussed about this. It was the company's trade monopoly ended. However, it continued for tea. I mean, trade in tea and trade with China. So when it was a matter of that who will trade with China, it was the company. No other person was allowed to trade. And when it comes to the tea, it was company. Moving to the next one. So this statement is correct. The Charter Act of 1833 ended the company's monopoly over the trade in tea and trade with China, right? So this is stage 1, end of monopoly. This is stage 2, end of monopoly. So the monopoly completely ended in 2 stages. The reasons behind the ending of the monopoly are 2. What are the reasons? Just as an extra knowledge I'm providing you. Napoleon's continental system. Napoleon's continental system and laissez-faire approach. So there are many British traders who said ki bhai, why should only the British company, East India Company, should trade with India? Why can't we trade with India? So they just demanded the rights to trade with India. Which who demanded? The other British traders, right? Who were not the members of the company. So they said ki we should also have the right to trade with India. So please end the monopoly. Both the statements in this case are correct. Moving to the next one. So option is C. With reference to the permanent settlement, right? Consider the following statement. The permanent settlement was introduced in Bihar and Bengal in 1793 by Lord Dalhousie. I mean, you can't even take a chance to make this as the correct statement. 2-3 things. Number 1, it is not 1793, right? Although some books say it's 1793, but it was introduced a year before that. And secondly, it was not Dalhousie, it was Cornwallis. Statement is wrong, right? Then comes the next one, which is the Zamidaris were to act as an agent of the government in collecting land revenue from the Rayas. Sahi hai. Raiyat here basically means farmer, not Raiyatwadi. Raiyat here means farmer, right? Who had a legal deed with them. In this settlement, the right of ownership of the land was hereditary and transferable. बिल्कुल सही है, right? If a person does not pay the rent, his property will be auctioned, obviously. So it was hereditary, it was transferable. Next one. With reference to the Raiyatwadi system, consider the following. So Raiyatwadi was introduced in the Deccan region. We all know that. Zamindari, eastern part, Raiyatwadi, Deccan region, and Mahalwadi, North India. In Raiyatwadi system, the cultivator was to be recognized as the owner of his plot of land, subject to the payment of land revenue, right? Subject to the payment of the land revenue. Obviously बात है. देखो, under Raiyatwadi, owner, who is he? Raiyat. So till he is paying the rent, right? He is not going to be, we can say, evacuated from his land. So Raiyat in the Raiyatwadi is same as the Zamindar in Zamindari. Who owns the land, right? Or who is responsible for the collection of the revenue. That's how the system was actually named after. If Zamindar is responsible for the payment of land revenues, so obviously it is Zamindari system. If it is the Raiyat, the farmer who collects the revenue and pay to the British, it is Raiyatwadi. If the entire village collects it, it is Mahalwadi. The settlement under Raiyatwadi was permanent. No. It was not permanent settlement. It revised periodically. It's a renowned fact, right? Revised periodically. Only permanent settlement, that is Zamindari system, right, was actually permanent. The other two were not permanent. So option A is correct. Next one. Cornwallis enforced the rules against the private trade, right? And acceptance of the presents and the bribe by the officials with strictness. ऐसा क्यों हुआ? Why Cornwallis was against any kind of corruption? I mean, private trade, accepting of the presents, bribes, and all these are the part of corruption. So why Cornwallis was against corruption? Because he was appointed to do the same, right? Cornwallis was appointed to do the same. He was brought from Britain to India in order to reduce corruption and bring higher revenue returns. That's why he brought permanent settlement. That was the objective for which he was recruited. Next one. Lord Curzon established the College of Fort William. Curzon came in 1905. Fort William College was established in the last decade of, right? The first decade of 18, that is 18, between 1801 or after 1801. There's a difference of 100 years. 100 years. So that's why the statement is wrong. Secondly, it was by Wellesley. So this statement is incorrect. All right. Moving to the next one. See, every question has a specific knowledge and a logic, right? I know many of the students are going to watch this recorded classes because once they will solve the paper, then they will watch the recorded lecture. That's how the things are. So even if you are watching the recorded lecture, right, in the future, my suggestion would be that take all the questions seriously. You are not just solving the test because you want to solve the test and it's part of your QIP program and so on and so forth. You're also solving the test for enhancing your knowledge, right? And filling up the knowledge gaps. So that's why. Tipu Sultan. Why we are reading Tipu? We are reading Tipu Sultan because Tipu had a fight with the Britishers and under the Anglo-Mysore War. So Tipu Sultan organized his army on European model using the Persian words of command. हाँ बिल्कुल सही है. Absolutely correct, without a doubt, right? Tipu Sultan was pioneer rocket technology and he wrote a military manual on the operation of the rocket. Absolutely one. This was the first rocket in the world. Yes. So how they constructed it? So let's say this is a wooden stick. क्या है ये? Wooden stick, right? On this wooden stick, they will have a iron canister tied. This is iron. It is like a cylindric. It's like a cylinder, right? It's a round and it is long. All right, like a cracker. So it is iron canister, and this iron canister has the any kind of material which burns quickly. Most probably, it will have gunpowder, right? And there will be a thread tied to it. They will fire this thread, right? And it will go in the projectile manner in this direction. So this is the first ever. And today also in Diwali, we use the same kind of rocket technology. So that's why this statement is absolutely correct. Both the statements are correct. Moving to the next one. Governor Generals again. Governor General is a very important tip, right? Do not miss important events took place during British Governor Generals from Robert Clive to Mountbatten. Now, see, that doesn't mean, this tip does not mean you have to read about every Governor General. That's why I highlighted, right? Important events. For instance, there is Governor General Lord Elling, right? Now, who knows about him? And is he important? No. So after Lord Dalhousie, you will read Canning. After Canning, there will be a gap of almost like what? There's a gap of 17 years. Then you will read about Lytton. After that, you will read about Ripon in a succession. But after Ripon, there's a 20 years gap. We don't read about any Governor General at that point of time. We read directly to Curzon because it's the event which are important, not the Governor Generals. Right? So in this question, for example, they are asking about the events. Policies means events only, right? So Lord Lytton, the wrong one, the Raman, right? So-called Raman, introduced Vernacular Press Act to curb the freedom of Indian press, that is Indian languages press. That's what vernacular is all about. हाँ तो ये सही है, बिल्कुल सही है, absolutely correct. Which will be replaced by Lord Ripon in the later stage. Lord Lytton pursued a policy of proud reserve, right? देखो ये क्या है? I'll tell you why. He was sent to India to secure frontiers. Now, proud reserve means, right, establish security forces on India's frontier. Example, Afghanistan. Afghan question, right? Afghanistan. So Indian forces were stationed. There was a movie also on this incident where you must have seen Akshay Kumar was there, I think. The movie was Kesari, in which you'll find Indians are stationed on the borders with Afghanistan, right? They are preventing India from the Afghan invaders who were Afghan tribes who were coming and invading India time and again. So British was very worried about that. And at this point of time, they almost reached to the Afghan border in the Khyber Pass. So they were, a bit concerned about whether this Afghani tribes would attack India or not. So that's the reason, and both the statements are correct in this regard. See, every governor general came with a purpose, right? If you know the purpose, their policy becomes easier. For example, Cornwallis came with a purpose to reduce the corruption. Robert Clive, the first governor of India, came with providing a stable government. Lord Lytton came to secure India's borders. Mountbatten came to provide India's independence. So governor generals have different objectives for which they were selected also. Question number 23, which says, oh, okay, so this is by the tribal revolts in Northeast India. Naga movement led by Jadnang, right, was not just a revolt against the British, but also aimed at establishing the Nag or Naga Raj. Bilkul sahi hai, absolutely correct, right? The Heraka cult movement was led by Rani Gaidilo, right? And of course, plus this Jadunang. So Jadunang and Rani Gaidilo were two who started the Heraka cult. Ab ye kya hai? This is a cult preventing Naga tribe from British culture and spread of Christianity, obviously. So they never wanted the Naga people to adopt to, or you can say convert to Christianity. So they started this Heraka cult movement. Both the statements are correct. All right. Moving to the next one. So the Sepoy Revolt of 1857, the places and the specific leader. Kanpur, Nana Sahib, yes, he was the pensioner, right? Pensioner Peshwa, pensioner Maratha Peshwa. Why he was why he was living in Kanpur? There's a long story behind that, right? Then Lucknow, Begum Hazrat Mahal, that is the wife of Wajid Ali Shah. Okay. Then next one is Faizabad, again Uttar Pradesh. So this is correct, this is correct, this is incorrect. There is no one known as Shamal from Faizabad, right? He was actually Maulvi. Maulvi, this is V. Ahmadullah. Ahmadullah. All right. So only 1 and 2 is correct. This list is already given, I think, in the Spectrum book. So you can go through that specific list for that matter. Moving to the next one, that is the question number 25th. With reference to the 19th century social reformer Raja Ram Mohan Roy, consider the following statement. He was against the introduction of modern capitalism, right, and industry in the country. Kyun? Why? He was not. Say go. You will understand this very simply. He was inspired by Industrial Revolution and French Revolution. That's why he supported capitalism and industrialization. And he thought that capitalism and industrialization can help bring employment generation in India, can help bring fight poverty and the so-called unemployment. And it will also help India to become a modernized nation. Because see, he was observing, he was a very intellectual and learned person, and he was very, very educated as well. And he used to study and follow the international events. So that's how he came across the news that it is important that India should also walk the path of capitalism. So he was against? No, he was not against. He was in favor, right? In favor में था. He founded the Brahmo Samaj as a new religious society. Obviously, it's correct. I mean, without a doubt, right? It's a religious society, Brahmo Samaj, which will have a separate religious views. He assisted David Her in the foundation of Hindu College, which is presently a Hindu school. Presently, it is known as Hindu school. I think it is not. I think it's not mentioned in the book, but ha, ठीक है. This Hindu school is actually a school. So the Hindu college that you see over here, it's not a college. It was a school which was teaching both the subjects, Western subjects, Indian subjects. So as a student of that school, right? So school means the young children were there. It was not the college students like the one which we have today. 26th, the pioneer in the modern civilization of Bengal, the conscript fathers of a race whose virtues will excite veneration and whose failing will be treated with gentlest consideration. Okay, at first reading, you will not understand what this is. At second reading, also, you will not understand what this is all about, right? So, let's go for elimination. Now, it is saying Bengal, right? Secondly, it is talking about Surendranath Banerjee, right? So obviously it means something from eastern part of India, right? Now, Atmiya Samaj, if you have studied the basic social reforms, you will understand that this is, yes, it is from Bengal, but not Surendranath Banerjee, Raja Ram Mohan Roy. So it is incorrect. Tattva Bodhini Sabha, Bengal, but it was Debendranath Tagore. Then, so this is also wrong. Aravali from movement, so ये तो है भैया Kerala से, this is from Kerala. So this is obviously wrong. Doesn't matter who is the founder. So by elimination, you comes to the Young Bengal movement. Now, when Young Bengal movement started by Henry Vivian Derozio, Surendranath Banerjee was not a member of that. But by elimination, you come across at this point. Otherwise, guys, it's not even possible for you to understand who said this statement and what's the meaning of this statement. There are certain questions which you can only attempt if you have a good elimination technique. And you will only have a good elimination technique if you have a good practice. At least you have practiced 1,000 answers or the questions in the history section. 1,000. After solving these 5 tests, you have already done. If you have solved these 5 tests, you have already completed 250 answers. And the next 1 year, 250 is not a big task for you, right? Sorry, 750 is not a big task for you. Moving to the next one. Consider the following statement with reference to the 19th century's social reform movement. Tattva Bodhini Sabha was founded by Raja Ram Mohan Roy. Tattva Bodhini Sabha was founded to propagate the Raja Ram Mohan's idea. Just in the previous answer, I told you कि हाँ, it was by Debendranath Tagore. Right? That is the father of Rabindranath Tagore. This entire family is great. I mean, they belongs to a separate planet altogether. They have a separate world together. The Tagore family is separate, something different only. So this is correct. The Tattva Bodhini Patrika promoted a systematic study of India's past in Marathi language. Abhi bataya, just in the previous question, I told you it is Bengali, right? So this is Bengali, not Marathi. Okay. Regarding the contribution of Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar in the social reform movement in India, consider the following statement. He opposed the monopoly of priestly class over the Sanskrit study. Yes, absolutely. He was also the college principal of I think that Presidency College or the Hindu College that we were talking about. He was a principal, right? Hindu College we were talking about a few questions back. The first law Hindu widow remarriage, right, among the upper caste in India was performed under his supervision. Yes, lawful Hindu widow remarriage. He's the one who is responsible for the 1856 Act. So the person who actually helped the passage of this act obviously will perform the widow remarriage. And if you're thinking widow remarriage is something new in India, no. Ishwar Chand Vidyasagar, when he was advocating for the the so-called, actually I read about his story. So he knew that once he will go for bringing the widow remarriage, Indians will be against him, right? Especially the priestly class. So the priestly class, the Brahmins, will obviously go against his ideas. So he brought a logical explanation behind that, and he said कि widow remarriage was, he actually said this to the Lord Dalhousie, that widow remarriage was already practiced in India during the early Vedic period. So why can't we have the same in present time? Right? It was there, so why can't we have the same right now? So that's how the things are. So both the statements are correct. So he gave a logic. If you give something with the help of a logic, it becomes long lasting actually, right? It becomes very, very promising in the argument. Next one. Jyotiba Phule founded the widow remarriages. No, 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 not at all. It was Vishnu Sastri, right? Vishnu Sastri Pandit, who founded this widow remarriage. Huh. Jyotiba Phule actually helped in promoting the widow remarriage. Widow Remarriage Act, Ishwar Chandra Vidyasagar. Widow Remarriage Association, Vishnu Sastri Pandit. And widow remarriages through institution is Jyotiba Phule. So Jyotiba Phule created a kind of hostel, right? A place where widows can stay, they can get the education, and later on they can get remarried, right? Then Krishnadas Moolji started the Satya Prakash in Gujarati to advocate widow remarriage. Absolutely correct. ये सही है. It's a fact. You have to remember it. I can't explain anything. It's a fact. Moolji Satya Prakash. All right. Or you can remember like this, which I used to do is Satya Prakash Moolji. It's like a complete name, a name of a paper as well as the name of a founder. Then comes Paramhans Mandali, which believed in the worship of one god, was founded in Calcutta. Nahi. Mandali is the one which is a term used in Marathi language. It's a small group. It means a small group. Right? So it was actually Maharashtra. So this is wrong. This is wrong. Right? So your answer is going to be one eliminate element. Yes, option number B. Next one. The Brahma Samaj did not accept the teaching of Vedas. Absolutely wrong. Brahma Samaj believed in Vedas and Upanishad. That is Vedanta. Right? So they believed in both Vedas and others. So next one, Swami Dayanand Saraswati believed that selfish and the ignorant priest had perverted the Hindu religion with the aid of Purans. बिल्कुल सही बात है. He rejected Purans and supported Vedas. See, according to many social reformers, I'm just going to give you the idea. The social reformers that we have seen in India in 19th century, it's a thumb rule. Please understand this. They support Vedas, they support Vedanta, that is Upanishad. So they support Vedas, they support Vedanta or Upanishad, but they reject Purana because Purana has many orthodox practices. For example, sacrifice. For example, fasting, right? For example, caste discrimination and very, very extreme forms of rules and regulations for the females. Right? Their purity, pollution, and everything else. They can't enter the temple, they can't enter the kitchen, and all those kind of limitations are mentioned in the Purans. So Purans, according to the social reformer, is a book of limitation rather than promotion. So it does not connect a person with a god. Instead, it connects a person with the social restrictions. So please remember, whenever it is written Puran, nobody or no social reformer accept that. All right. So this statement is correct. He actually rejected that. Next one. The Theosophist, right? That is Theosophical Society, Madame Blavatsky and occult, right? Advocated the revival and the strengthening of the ancient religion of Hinduism and Buddhism only. It is a lethal word. Only is a very lethal word. Always pay attention on that. Only here is wrong. It was Hindu plus Buddhist plus Parsis or Zoroastrians to be specific. Yeah. Now, Theosophists. Now, why Theosophists believe in these things? Why do they believe in these things? Because first, these three are very old religion, almost 2,500 year old, and even beyond that. Secondly, all these three religions believe in reincarnation theory, right? Transmigration of soul. That is, a soul after the death of a person will leave his body and will go into the universe and will wait for the next birth. Rebirth, transmigration of soul. That's how the cases are, right? So, ये wrong हो गया. They did not recognize. No. They recognized. It is wrong. They recognize the transmigration of soul. So this is also incorrect. Option is D. Both the statements are incorrect. Ahrar movement. Ahrar. This is not error. Ahrar movement was founded by Maulana Muhammad Ali and Hakim Ajmal Khan. Now this is a militant movement. ये याद रखना. It is a militant. Now, militant movement does not mean that they were terrorist. Militant movement means that they were ready to go for the extreme events, that is violence, to secure their ideas. That's how the things are. It's not that they were terrorists, they were revolutionaries and this and no. It's not like that. Militant means that they were ready to go for violence if their demands or their ideas are not being materialized. All right. So first statement is correct in this regard. The leaders related to the Arhar movement disliked the loyalist politics of the Aligarh school, that is Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, and the big Nawabs and the Zamindar. So they said ki actually they were against the Britishers. So they said ki Britishers are here, they are diluting the Islam, they are diluting the religious practices of the Islamic people or the Muslims and this and that, and we should be against Britishers. And anyone who is in favor of Britishers, for example, Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, who propagated the modernization, the British era, the British teachings, the modern school of thoughts, liberalism, so on and so forth, they were against that. All right. So both the statements are correct in this regard. Moving to the next one. Home rule leagues were started under the leadership of Tilak and Besant. So this is a universal fact. First started by Tilak in April, then Besant in September. Right? Sir Subramaniam Iyer participated in the home rule leagues. Yes. That's why when Annie Besant and the partners were arrested, he gave up his knighthood. Because he was one of the chairperson or the president of Home Rule League. During the agitation, Annie Besant was arrested. We all know these facts. Annie Besant and George Arundale was arrested, right? Wadia was arrested. And because of that arrest, S. Subramaniam Iyer gave up his knighthood. He was a very respected person during the British period. All three are correct. Moving to the next one. Inspired by the Ghadar party, 700 men of the 5th Infantry, Light Infantry, during the India's independence India's independence struggle in Singapore revolted under the leadership of whom of the following? Frankly speaking, even I don't know this question. Right? So I'm a very frank teacher. I'm not genius. I'm not Wikipedia. I'm not ChatGPT. In fact, when I went through this question, even I was totally blank on that. If I am going to write this examination, even after reading history for many years, I will leave this question. I mean, who reads this? Okay, maybe your Spectrum book has this statement. Maybe, let's say Bipan Chandra has this statement. I don't know what is the reference of this question. but this question was given to you just to leave it. All right, just to leave it. I will tell you the answer. Answer iska hai A. I have marked that up. Okay, but even if I am there in this examination, I will leave this question. That revolt in Singapore by 700 men of this particular infantry was under the leadership of whom? I think it's really very tough to remember these kind of extreme facts. I mean, if tomorrow somebody asks who was the pilot or who was the captain of Komagata Maru, you must have heard about a Komagata Maru incident, right? Or when Gadar Party was formed, who was the second president of Gadar Party in San Francisco? I mean, who remember these kind of facts? So, there are certain questions which are meant to be left. This was the one. With reference to the Lucknow session of Indian National Congress in 1916, consider the following statement. The moderate and the extremist nationalists of the Congress were reunited. Obviously, we all know, right, that they were reunited in the Congress party. Congress and the Muslim League put upon a common political demand before the agreement. And all these statements, both the statements are correct because of Annie Besant. Because Annie Besant was the one who wanted this to happen. Both the statements are correct. She said ki bhai, let's come together and put a joint demand. Congress agreed on the separate electorate. The biggest mistake done by Congress, that Congress agreed on the separate electorate demand with, in return, thinking that Muslim League is going to help in achieving the self-rule. Next, Al Hilal newspaper and Comrade, kuch nahi hai, they have reversed this. They have just reversed this. So both the statements are incorrect. They have just reversed this, right? Neither of them is correct. Under Government of India Act 1919, which of the following subject came under the transferred ones? That is diarchy. This question is on diarchy. Similar question was asked in UPSC as well. Now, transfer subject means I call them weak subjects. Weak subjects in which you don't need extra preparation, right? In which extra preparation or extra scrutiny is not required, in which Britishers don't need control. So they transferred this to Indians. You take care of these kind of subjects. Now, in these four subjects, the most important one, you just have to eliminate that. And the most important one is how can, just think for a while, how can Britishers transfer finance to Indians without a case, right? क्यों देंगे? Why would they give finance to Indians? No, they won't. That's why eliminate, eliminate, eliminate. Just use your common sense. Now, if you're thinking, should I read the entire list of subjects? No. Have this common sense that how can Britishers give finance? For example, in the case of finance, they will write communication. How can they give communication to Indians? Huh? Indians will understand all the policies of the Britishers. Or how can they give army in the hands of Indians? How can they make commander-in-chief the Indian person? They can't. Commander-in-chief was never Indian. That's why. There are certain items which they will never transfer to Indians, and finance was one of them, right? Common sense question. This is common sense question. So focus on that. With reference to the major developments of Indian politics which occurred during the 1920-28, consider the following statement. Number one, the Swarajist pro-changer opposed council entry. Wrong. They favored council entry. That's why Swarajist party was created, because they were against the Gandhian method of administration. They said Gandhian method of struggle, truce, struggle is useless. Non-cooperation movement has not resulted anything. So we will enter for the council one. So they said ki bhai, we want change. So this statement is wrong. Patel and Rajendra Prasad were related to the pro-changers. This is also wrong. They were concerned to the no-changers. So they never wanted, they wanted to continue with the Gandhian policy. They supported Gandhian policy. Both the statements are wrong, right? So I'll just write, they supported Gandhian policy. Okay. Consider the following pairs. Region of the Swadeshi movement is in 1905. And their leaders. Punjab, Sayyid Haider Raza. No, he was from Delhi. Punjab. Lal Lajpat Rai and Ajit Singh, that is the uncle of Bhagat Singh, Ajit Singh. They two were involved. So the first two are wrong, right? They are interchanged. So only two. Madras, Chidambaram Pillai, yes, this one is correct. So, sorry, they are asking, pardon me, they are asking which of them is correct. So only one of them is correct. That is option A. Moving to the next one. Swadesh Bandhav Samiti was set up by Rajnikant, right? Okay, nahi. Rajnikant, no. Not Rajnikant, not Bahubali. It was sent by, or it was created by Ashwini Kumar, right? All right. So, I mean, everyone knows this, Ashwini Kumar. The full name was Ashwini Kumar Dutt, right? A.K. Dutt. Then, so this is wrong. Swadesh movement or Swadeshi movement gave a great emphasis on the self-reliance and Atma Shakti. This is very important, sir. This is absolutely correct, right? That's why they created that Bandhav Samiti, right? This Swadesh Bandhav Samiti to propagate the idea of self-reliance. Guys, we can do it. Swadesh Bandhav Samiti means what? An organization, an institution, a body created at a local level, which will emphasize that we can create things locally. Why do we need to import Manchester cotton? We can import cotton from India itself. That's how the things are. All right. Statement 2 is correct in this regard. Moving to the next one. Consider the following statement with reference to the history of India. Indian National Congress, through the Swadeshi movement, broadened its appeal among the middle class. Right? Everyone knows that this is correct. Because middle class participation was very high. Women participation was very high. Student participation, lawyers, right? Professionals, their participation was very high. And in fact, Muslim participation was very high in the Swadeshi movement. So, this statement is absolutely correct. Bipin Chandra Pal belonged to the moderate group in the Indian National Congress. Lal, Bal, Pal, and Ghosh. All four of them are extremist. I mean, this is a very easy fact. This is very easy fact to understand. Option A. Mahatma Gandhi's first major public appearance after returning from South Africa was at the Banaras Hindu University. Now, this is a very tough question, right? A tough question is it? So, if possible, avoid such kind of questions. It is tough question. I mean, nobody even pay the attention until unless you read the biography of Mahatma Gandhi and you read the biography of Mahatma Gandhi by heart. I mean, by all the possible details. Then only we understand ki when he came to India and when he made the first public appearance. Otherwise, it's very tough. Statement is correct. At Lucknow session of Indian National Congress, Raj Kumar Shukla invited Gandhi to Champaran. This statement is also correct. Why Champaran? Because of Teen Ghatia system. Because of Teen Ghatia system. All right. So both these statements are correct. Thoda tough. The second statement is obviously very known fact, but the first statement is really very tough. Regarding the initial movement led by Gandhi against the colonial government, consider the following statement. Initial movements of Gandhi. In Ahmedabad, he joined the peasant movement. Arey bhai, Ahmedabad was a mill strike. Wrong. It was not peasant. It was mill workers. He went on a hunger strike with mill workers. Second, in Kheda, he intervened in labor dispute. Again, wrong. Peasants. Right? So, Kheda and Champaran were the peasants. Ahmedabad was a mill owner. Mill worker. So, that's how the things actually are. Moving to the next question, I think, yes, 44th one. Indian national movement, consider the following statement. The Rowlatt Act provided for the stricter control over the press, arrest without warrant, and indefinite detention without trial. And that's why the Rowlatt Act is known as no vakil, no appeal, no dalil. This was a popular say, and this was also known as Black Act by Gandhi. I mean, a person who is being arrested can be taken for n number of days, can be arrested for n number of days without warrant, without charge, without lawyer, without appeal, without any kind of discussion. He can be taken to any place without even telling the family of a person, and he can be detained. He can even be killed. So that's how, and without even evidences, just on the precision, just on the suspicion. Shak tha, le gaye. So there was a suspicion. That's why this person could be arrested. Next one. So this is correct. Mahatma Gandhi called for the countrywide strike against the implementation of the Rowlatt Act and formed Satyagraha Sabha. This Satyagraha Sabha and this Rowlatt Satyagraha, right? This is Gandhiji's first all India initiative, Rowlatt Satyagraha. People think that it was Champaran. No. All India nature, all India nature. What Gandhiji did for the first time for entire India was Rowlatt Satyagraha. Champaran was Bihar related. Ahmedabad and Kheda was only limited to Gujarat. But the Rowlatt Satyagraha was all India nature. NCM came later. Both the statements are correct. Which of the following was the most important event related to the campaign against the Rowlatt Act? Right? क्या हुआ था? Obviously, right? Jallianwala Bagh. Because we know that there were two people known as Dr. Satyapal and Saifuddin Kichlu. Were arrested under Rowlatt Act, and some people gathered to protest against their arrest, right? So it is Jallianwala Bagh massacre. Which of the following, just a moment, which of the following statement with reference to the Khilafat movement is incorrect? That's why it is bolded, right? So Khilafat movement, which of them is incorrect? It was a movement of Indian Muslims led by Shaukat Ali and Muhammad Ali, that is Ali brothers. Yes. So Muhammad Ali Johar, Shaukat Ali Johar. Indian National Congress was against the movement and viewed it as a sectarian. No. Look, now you got the answer. You don't have to read the other two statements. But in examination, I would recommend to read all the statements. Right? I'm conducting the class. This is an informal way of conducting this. Sorry, informal way of communication. In the final day of the examination, I would recommend you to go through the entire thing thoroughly. Right? Pura question padna hai, all the statements. Mahatma Gandhi sought to conjoin the Khilafat with the non-cooperation movement, obviously. So if third statement is correct, obviously second statement is wrong, because Gandhi was associated with Congress. So if Gandhi is associated with Congress, how can Congress be against the movement? Khilafat demanded that Khalifa must retain control over the Muslim sacred places. Yes, that is, he should be the religious head. He should be religious head of Muslim world. They never said ki no, Khalifa should be the political head. No. Okay, if you remove him as a political head, it's okay, but let him be the religious head for a time being. But it was rejected by the victorious powers in the First World War. With reference to the INM, right, Indian National Movement, consider the following statement. The Provincial Committee of the Indian National Congress were based on the linguistic regions. Correct. Absolutely correct. Right, without a doubt. That was something which was created during, this was something which was created during non-cooperation movement. Right. All India campaign against the Simon Commission was launched under the leadership of Mahatma Gandhi. No, Mahatma Gandhi ji was not at all there for campaign against the Simon Commission. For him, Simon Commission was like, he, you go ahead with the campaign. He just told the members of the Congress, you guys just go on, right? You work hard. My blessings are with you. Okay, nothing wrong is going on. I am not going to be there to protest. Actually, Simon Commission, anti-Simon Commission was a leaderless movement. Yes, it was a leaderless movement. Congress launched this, but as a political party, not as an individual. Wrong statement. Option A is the correct one. In Lahore session, the Indian National Congress the commitment of Poon Swaraj was proclaimed. All right. Commitment of Poon Swaraj was proclaimed. Everyone knows that it was under the leadership of President was Jawaharlal Nehru. Chacha ji, right? Jawaharlal Nehru, 1929. Lahore session of Indian National Congress was presided by Jawaharlal Nehru. Okay, the second statement is also already given over there. Both the statements are correct. Easy question hai. With reference to the CDM, that is Civil Disobedience Movement, consider the following statement. Salt was selected as a symbol to protest, right, against a state monopoly. Correct. Gandhiji, he went from Sabarmati to Dandi, took 78 other followers, reached there in the month of April, pick up the salt and broke the salt law. Because even touching the salt by non-British companies, even touching the salt by non-Britisher, because only government can create. So if anyone who is non-British and does not work for the British government even touches the salt, touching, right? Even touching the salt means breaking of law. So he went there, he picked up a full of fist, right? Salt full of fist, and then he broke the law. He touched the salt, right? The participation of the women in the CDM was less as compared to the non-cooperation movement. Arey bhai, ye kab hua? Right? No. So women participation increased from Swadeshi to NCM to CDM to Quit India movement. So Quit India movement में तो we know women even started the underground radio, women even started the underground activities, right? They participated a lot in the parallel government. So वहाँ तो the participation was very, very high. It all started in the Swadeshi movement. So with every successive movement, mass movement, there was a more and more participation by the women in this class. Moving to the next one. So this statement is wrong. Option 1 is correct. The next one. Okay, we are at the last one. Mahatma Gandhi represented the Indian National Congress in the first round table conference. No. Second. This answer is very easy. Why second? Because of the Gandhi-Irwin Pact. So Gandhi-Irwin Pact was signed. First of all, Gandhiji gave 11 points, all rejected by Irwin. Gandhiji started civil disobedience movement. There was a countrywide issue. Britishers wanted constitutional reforms because constitutional reforms were not implemented after the Simon Commission. Nehru report failed, so they wanted new reforms. So they said, ki, let's come meet together in the roundtable conferences. Gandhiji disagreed. Civil disobedience movement was going on. Gandhiji did not participate in the first talk. Congress did not participate in the first talk. So the meeting was fruitless, right? I mean, it was it was resultless. So they came back. Prime Minister MacDonald told the Lord Irwin, please bring Gandhi and Congress on the table. Irwin called Gandhi. They signed Gandhi-Irwin Pact, in which they agreed almost on the 7-8 points of the Gandhi's 11-point demand. And that's how Gandhi and Congress decided to participate in the roundtable conference. That was the second one. In third also he rejected. Even the Congress did not participate in the third one as well. Based on that, the first statement is wrong. Civil disobedience movement was discontinued after Gandhi-Irwin Pact. Yes. Only for few months, right? Because civil disobedience movement was conducted in 2 phases, right? First phase before the second roundtable conference, the second phase after the second roundtable conference, the failure of second roundtable conference. All right. So that's all. So we have discussed 50 questions from modern India. Many of them were easy, right? Even if you have not solved the test paper, I would request all of you, whosoever is watching and will watch in the future, the recorded sections, to do solve these questions. They will definitely help you to revise a lot and will enhance your information. And who knows, some of these questions and their pointers might be repeated in the examination as well. All right, so thank you everyone. I'll see you tomorrow in the last class from the history QIP 2025 prelims discussion, right? That is the second part of modern India. So thank you everyone. I'll see you tomorrow.